The next morning Della and Lori headed to Carrie's bridal shop happily. This was going to be a fun girls' day out. The first one since Lori had gotten married. Mike was going to stay home and mow the lawn and do some work on the car. As they pulled into the shop they took a look at the shop. It was busy with all of the June weddings, but Carrie came right up to them as soon as they walked in. "You can go right this way, Della," and she showed her the way to the fitting room. The dress was still full of pins, so Carrie and Lori had to help Della get into the gown. Once more, Carrie had done a lot of work on the dress and Della stood still as Carrie pinned and measured more for the dress. Carrie smiled at her and said, "You are all set. I will see you again in 2 weeks," and with that, Lori and Della left happily. The afternoon was spent with them getting their hair and nails done. It was after 4 when they finally returned home and Della had to get ready for dinner. Perry would be there at 6. Lori and Mike had plans themselves, and as Perry came to pick Della up for a dinner and dance at their favorite spot, the Kavanaugh, Lori smiled at him. "You two have a great night. As usual, we are going out to our favorite nightclub. We will see you later." Once again the weekend went well, and when Monday came around Perry and Della headed to the bank to set up the mortgage. The man was a friend of Perry's and promised him that everything would be ready for the closing on the 1st of July. Everything was all set, the house was theirs. As soon as the two of them left the bank, Della put her arms around Perry and gave him a kiss. She had not seen the man with the camera, and would not have noticed him if Perry hadn't tapped her on the shoulder. It was too late, they were the evening news and she had to be more careful. But it was only a hug and kiss. Wednesday was another day in court with a client who was settling a probate case. They ran into Hamilton Berger, and the three of them went to dinner. Berger was genuinely honored that Perry had asked him to be an usher at his wedding. Perry had given him the name of the tailor who would be doing their tuxedos, so he let Perry know that he was going for a fitting on the 15th of July. Perry and Della were excited to let him know that they had purchased a house. The closing date was set for July 1st. Hamilton smiled and told them, "I was hoping that you would buy that house. It is my brother who lives next door. I didn't know that you had looked at the house until my brother was told by a neighbor that you had been there doing an inspection," he told them. Perry laughed. "I thought that address sounded familiar to me. Many years ago now I went over to Mark's house for a barbecue. I had thought about it when we went there, but I did not pay much attention to the house next door. He is a good man, and I will be happy to have him for a neighbor." Della thought to herself, "Oh, no more business that will be coming home with us," but she smiled and said, "I am glad that we are going to have some good neighbors. I loved the house and the neighborhood." July 1st came quickly and the papers were all signed and they got the key to the property. Maybe it should be noted that there were many keys: a key to the garage, a key to the pool house, a key to the tool shed, a key to the pool, and a key to the hot tub, and then 4 keys to all of the doors at the house. Della marked them right away. Some of the keys would stay on a ring near the back door, but some would stay at the pool house and some in the garage. She would have Perry go to the hardware store and have some extra keys made just in case they get lost. Perry and Della went right over to their new home and walked around in it. It was very large now that there was nothing in it. The halls echoed and everything looked bare. Della thought of their meager furniture and knew that she would have to get going on the shopping. Della called Lori and invited her and Mike over to see the new home. Lori had been waiting since Della had left to get a chance to see the house. She had not seen the house yet. It had been an inner battle for her not to go by the house, but she had not. She had seen pictures of it but had not seen it in person. As Mike and Lori pulled onto the street they were very impressed. The homes on the street were very large and well kept. As They pulled into the circular driveway. Lori was hit by the wow factor. The house was huge and had 6 bays to the garage. Della met them at the kitchen door and smiled as she showed them to her new home. Perry came right up behind her to welcome them in, and Lori and Mike had their first look at the home that would soon be their friends and relatives. Mike liked Perry very much and was happy for what he and Della had. Someday, he thought to himself. As Lori and Della walked through the house, Della wrote down everything that they were going to need, and the list went on and on. The formal dining room would fit Perry's wonderful table and buffet easily, so they were all set there. But the living room and the family room would need to be completely done. There were 22 windows and 2 sliding doors that would need curtains also. The 2 bedrooms that had been theirs when they were single would work in the 2 bedrooms upstairs, but they needed everything for the master bedroom. Lori opened the 4th bedroom door and started to say that they would need bedroom furniture for that room, when Della put her hand on her arm. "That will be the nursery someday," she told her with a smile. Lori gave her sister a big hug. "Oh, can you see our children playing here and in the backyard? I hope that they will be close like we were. Maybe we can have our children close to each other. Perhaps I would like that very much," Della told her with a smile. Mike and Perry were walking around the garage looking at the workshop when Paul and Sue Drake showed up. Paul gave out a whistle and said, "This is some house. Are you planning on having several children or something?" "Something like that," Perry told his friend with a smile. "Sue, the girls are in the house going through it and making plans for the decorating and the furniture. Della was hoping that you were coming over," Perry told her with a smile. As Sue walked into the house, she fell in love with the kitchen. It had everything that her kitchen did not have, and things that she could not even imagine. There was a Lazy Susan in 2 of the cupboards, and some of the cabinets had a glass face so that you could see the dishes. The countertops were granite, and she had a professional 6-burner stove. She was going to have to tell Paul that she wanted her kitchen done over. She heard Della and Lori in the room across the hall and walked over. Della looked up and saw her friend Sue, and went right over to her. "I love your house. It is so large but friendly. I hope that you and Perry have a long and happy life here." The 3 women spent the next hour making notes of what was needed and the coloring in the rooms. Then they headed to the backyard and the pool house. The pool house was small but perfect for people who would be coming over for visits. The kitchen was small and the living room was a combination living and bedroom. It had 2 bathrooms with a changing room that went with each bathroom. Della was going to need towels and more towels. Sue knew that the pool would be used often in the hot LA weather and that Della and Perry would need a minimum of 10 towels per bath there at the pool house alone. At the house there was 1 more sliding glass door and 4 more windows that would need curtains. There would also need to be everything that would be used in the bathroom. Della noted all of that. As the 3 of them came into the kitchen, they found the 3 men there talking. Perry went over to Della and put his arm around her waist. "We are going to need to bring some things over here before we move in to the house. I was thinking about getting something to drink and we have no glasses or cups or anything." "Here," Perry told her.